Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. Hope you guys are doing well today. And we are back with another How Good Are They? This time looking at Protection Warrior. So Protection Warrior was typically always the true standard of the sword and board tank. That's the class fantasy for so many years. And they had heavy reliance on big, heavy, tanky armor, plate armor, blocking with huge shields to avoid attacks. And they had this very niche thing where they were very good against physical, bad against magical, and what would make sense of kind of ye old England knights. Well, Shadowlands didn't really do much to change that. I played Protection Warrior quite a lot in Shadowlands, and it was a high APM, clunky mess of a class, and it was still built around the same core fundamentals. Now, to take it back a little bit further than that, Warlords of Draenor came out with a concept which was Gladiator Stance Protection Warrior. Now, it was the DPS version of a Protection Warrior, and for a short time before it was removed, it was actually quite good. It was also a niche thing that kind of took away from the standard of that sword and board tanky warrior. Now we have Dragonflight Protection Warrior, and Gladiatorial would be a fantastic description there. High damage, hard hitting abilities, bleeds on every target. They still retain some active mitigation around blocks. They now rely wholly much more on ignore pain, which really does fit into that kind of gladiatorial, high adrenaline fueled spec more than kind of the Warrior of old. And personally, I think it's a fantastic move, and they're in a really good state because of it. Now, in terms of fun, Protection Warrior was a tech I didn't want to enjoy. I was burnt by it in Shadowlands. I really tried to make it work. I enjoyed my time with it, but eventually I gave up just because it didn't feel like I could do much more with it. I was really struggling. Dragonflight's brought mass changes to the spec and allow it to just be that high damage, well rounded tank with leech like healing, with high single target AoE damage and threat and cooldown for almost every situation, more than any other tank currently. Protection Warrior just feels beefy and really fun to play, and personally, that's what you want, right? So in terms of viability, well, Protection Warrior couldn't really move higher in this tier list if they tried. Protection Warrior might be in the best state it's ever been in, certainly for the last however many years. In heroic and mythic raids, they're currently the most highly represented tanks in the game by a considerable margin. Now, this is looking at Warcraft logs and using how many passes we see of each of the tanks. In some cases, we're seeing 180k passes of Warrior to like 15, 16k of other tanks. Warriors are just so popular and so strong right now that if you want to play them, now is a very good time to give it a go. Now, in Mythic Plus keys, 18 of the top 20 world keys are currently being done with a Protection Warrior, with 5.4 total representation in keys. Now, this is joint highest only with Restoration Druid, which is also in a fantastic state. So, in terms of viability, Protection Warrior is in a really good spot. Now, as we tend to see in the kind of pattern we've seen so far, is variance isn't really there. And when one is good and viable, the variance doesn't really seem to keep up. And when it's the other way around, we see that the variance is really cool and nice concept, but the viability isn't quite there. Well, there is an AoE and single target raid spec for different bosses, but it doesn't really change much. There's very limited changes, and you could probably get away with just playing one on all of it if you really wanted to. In Mythic Plus, there's a spec that doubles down into self healing, mitigation, rage generation. However, it pretty much stays the same for every dungeon. The nice part, I suppose, about this is the fact that you can almost always pick up all the utility and things that you would want in the same talent tree, and you would never need to jump from multiple. So if that's what you're looking for, one talent build plays all, nice and simple and easy, no complex trying to change talents between dungeons, maybe Protection Warriors for you. So overall, I've given it a 23 out of 30. So that's 8 out of 10 for fun, 10 out of 10 for viability, and 5 out of 10 for variance. Variety lets it down just slightly, but overall, Protection Warrior in such a solid place. If you've ever wanted to try it, if you've ever wanted to jump into tanking or anything like that, now is definitely the time. So, guys, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll leave it here. Thanks for watching. Bye.